Hello and welcome once again to my YouTube and sew tutorial. I am Choma Wosu and a lot of you call me Chimmy. Today I'm going to be showing you how to pad the butt and the hip. Okay, so butt and hip padding is a trend now, and it's just like we pad the bust, you can also pad the butt and the hip, and this is to make the hip look fuller and give you that figure 8 shape. Who doesn't want to have that shape? Okay, so that is what we're going to be doing today. I'll be showing you how to go about padding your butt and the hip. All right, I also want to say, if you're stopping by my channel for the first time, you're definitely welcome. Consider subscribing, like and share this video if you found it helpful in any way. I also would like to say that our August online classes is ongoing. You can join us. I will leave the WhatsApp number at the description box where you can send us a message to make any inquiry. You can also check out our website www.youtubecansew.com. You can join us on Facebook. It's a closed group, YouTube Can Sew, and you can follow me on Instagram, YouTube Can Sew, because I would be posting things on Instagram, and those on Instagram will be able to see all that I'm doing and all that before you guys here on YouTube. All right, thank you, and I hope you enjoyed this tutorial. If you're ready, let's go into it. Okay, so this is the pattern. This is just the basic skirt pattern, the normal pencil skirt pattern. Okay, so I'm going to be using this pencil skirt to show you how you can achieve the hip padding. If you're making a dress, of course, you can join your bodice to the skirt, and you can even extend it to be longer if you want. Okay, but this is what I'm going to be using. So for this tutorial, I already have my basic skirt pattern, and I'm going to be using this fabric. This is just normal Ankara wax fabric, and I've actually cut this out, and I'm going to be using lining. So this is my cotton lining that I'm using. Okay, so I want to say the actual measurements, or the measurements that you require for this tutorial, is your waist measurement, that's the waist circumference, your hip circumference, the length of your skirt, your waist to the under of your butt. So you have to measure from the waist to the under of your butt, that's from behind. You note that measurement down, and then from your waist to your knee. Okay, from your waist to your knee. Okay, so for this particular person, this is the hip line. Okay, so the waist to the knee is 18 inches. So I've measured 18 inches. I'll just mark it and I'll draw a straight line there. Okay, so this is the front block. This is the front block, and this is the back block. The back block has the zipper allowance, but I didn't put any other allowance on this particular pattern. It's just the exact measurement that I used to draft out this pattern. Okay, so the waist to the knee is 18, and that's what I've marked here. I'm also going to mark it on the back block. I'm just going to extend it. Okay, so another thing to note for when you're drafting or when you're making the hip padding is that the measurements that you're using for the person is not the actual measurement, or the person's measurement is not the actual measurement you're going to use when you're cutting the fabric. I'm talking about the hip measurements, because we're trying to make the hip appear bigger than it is. So if the person's measurement, for example, I'm working with 37 inches, it's 37. Now you're going to add whatever is the quantity of foam that you intend to add to the skirts. You're going to include that measurement to the main fabric Okay, so I'm using this foam. This is what I'm using, and this is about 1 inch. It is the thickness is about 1 inch, so it depends on what your foam is or how big you want your padding to be, because it totally depends on you. If you want it to be larger than what I'm doing now, you have to use a foam that is bigger than this. Okay, and then we're going to be adding the foam to the front. You know, this is, so let's assume that this is the on the fold. So we're adding one here, we're adding another one on the other side, and at the back we're adding one here and we're adding on the other side. Okay, so that means we'll need 4. And this is actually 1 inch. So what you're going to do is to multiply the 1 by 4, and that will give us 4 inches. So we're adding 4 inches to the actual hip measurement. So the hip measurement, like I said, is 37. When you add that 4 inches, you will now get 41. So that is the 41 that you're going to use to cut out the main fabric. And like I have done here, I used 41 for this hip, but the actual hip measurement is 37. The waist and every other thing would remain the same, but the hip you have to increase the measurement. So I've increased it by 4 inches extra, and I've added 1 inch seam allowance for this particular fabric. Then for the lining you do not need to increase the measurement for the lining. The lining is the actual measurement. I'm using the actual measurement for the lining, which is 37 inches. I only added 1 inch seam allowance to the lining, that's all. So you see we have 2 different sizes here. Then as for the pattern, I didn't have any allowance at all. I'm using this pattern to create the butt padding. That is why I need this. Okay, so I'm going to start with the front, because the front is a little bit, you know, simple than the back. Okay, so what you need to do is to come down from the waist by 1 inch. Then you also need to go up from the knee line measurement by 2 inches. You can even go up further than these 2 inches. It depends on what you want, but 2 inches is okay. So what you need to do is to measure from here to about 4 inches. Okay, so you see the points we have here. Then you connect it. Just look for a curved ruler, or you can just curve it with your hand if you want to. Okay, so this is what I have here for the front. I'm just going to curve it, you know, further. So this is what I have here for the front. So look at what it looks like. I'm also going to do the same for the back. So the back, you have to pay attention to see how I achieve the back. So this is the back pattern that we have here. So for the back, you also have to come down by 1 inch. Then you come up by 2 inches like we did for the front. Then for the back, this is the zipper allowance here. You need to come out or away from the zipper by 1 inch as well. Come out from the zipper by 1 inch as well. And then from this point here, you need to go up also further by about 3 inches. And then you need to come out by about 4 inches. So you can see all the points I have there. Now I'm going to connect this from the waist to this point, like so. So the next thing I'm going to do is to connect to this point, like so. Then I'm going to connect to this. So you curve this, make sure you have a curve. Just look for a point where you can curve it very well. You don't need it to be sharp. Okay, so by the time you've done that, you will see that you have something looking like this. So this is the back, and this is the front. You can see the difference between the back and front. So what you need to do now is to cut them out, and then I will show you what to do next. So please, I just want to say, before cutting this out, so that you don't make a mistake, make sure to label this, you know, up and label this down. So you can put an arrow like this to show, you know, the line. So make sure this is, you label this up and you label this down. You can just use this and write UP, or and you put down, okay? Or I don't know, however you would understand that this is up and this is down, because if you eventually put it like this, it's not going to, there's going to be a problem. It's going to give us the wrong measurement. So however it is that you can understand that this particular side is the up and this particular side is the down, then you actually go ahead and do that. And then for this particular one, this is the back, make sure you do the same thing. It is important to know the side that is facing up and the side that is facing down. It's very, very important. Okay, so that said, next thing we're going to do is to cut out the foam. So we're going to use this pattern. This is what we're going to use to cut out the foam. Okay, so it's very easy to mix this up, you know, turning it the other way. You might get confused at the end of the day or along the way. So please, it's better to label this. You know, this is the up and this is the down. So you see, I use a tape to even hold it down. If you have pins that can actually, you know, that you can use to pin this, you can actually go ahead and use your pins to pin your pattern on the foam so that you don't make mistake. Or you can go ahead and label it. So this is going to be like this. This is up and this is down. So you can actually go ahead and label this and still put up so that you know where down is, okay? And you have to be sure. You can just go ahead and do that so that you don't make mistake. So this is for the back, and this is one side and this is the other side. And as for this too, this is for the front. So you can go ahead and write up here and write up here. Okay, this is just to avoid any form of confusion at the end of the day, because if you put it the wrong way, trust me, you wouldn't like the outcome. Okay, so this is what we have here that we're going to use into pad now. So this is how it's going to be, you know, inside like this at the end of the day. So this is up and up, and you have to also, I think it's important to label the right and then the wrong side as well. I think it's also good to label it so that you don't confuse yourself. You can just label this right and you can label this left, okay, so that you will know that this one is here and this one is here. And for this particular one here too, and for this particular one, you can do all this labeling before actually cutting it out, okay, so that you don't get confused. You can do all the labeling before cutting it out. It's important to do that as well. So this is, you know, up, this is the left side and this is the right side, okay, so that you don't get confused. That's the reason why we're doing all this. So the next thing to do, you have to try and see how you can make this foam, you know, look as the padding, you have to make it look natural as possible. so that it doesn't look so artificial, because if you put it like this, it's going to obviously be looking artificial because it's not going to blend in. So you have to try and see how you can smoothen this side all the way, you know, smoothing it out so that it can look more natural, you know. So what you're going to do is either you have something to reduce it, maybe like a sandpaper or something to reduce, you know, the size of the foam from this side, or you can do it with your scissors. Please, there's no rule to how you can achieve this. You have to do it in whatever way that works for you. Okay, you have to do it in whatever way that works for you. So I'm just going to go ahead to try and reduce the size. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and try and reduce the size. Look at this. This is not up to 1 inch anymore. So you can further go ahead and just gently cut out. Just gently cut out. Make sure that, you know, you do it in such a way that it just reduces it. But if you have anything that you can use to do it, then just go ahead and do it. Okay, so like I said, you just gently go ahead to reduce this. Go ahead to do it. Don't cut it off. Don't spoil the foam. Just to make sure that the foam is a little bit, light at the edge so that it can just blend in. If it's too big, or if you leave it at that 1 inch, it might not, you know, blend in very well. So it might be obvious that, you know, there's something going on there. So if you have some paper, you can also smoothen it out, you know, smoothen it out like so. Just something to make it not too obvious. Okay, so I'm going to go ahead and do this for all the 4 sides. Just make it a little bit smaller, and then I'll show you what next to do. Okay, so this is what we have here. You can see now we've reduced the side. So what you need to do next is to join the right side. This is the back, and then this is the front. Okay, so you join the right of the back to the left of the front. So you're going to join it like this. So this is the part we're joining now. Okay, so this is the left to right, and we're going to join it like that. So you can use glue to do the joining, but sometimes glue might not be able to hold it very well. So you can use, you can actually use needle and thread to hold it together if you don't want it to eventually give way. But I'm going to be using glue, so I'm just adding glue like so. Okay, then I'm going to join it together like this. So by the time you join it, you're going to have something that looks like this. You see the inside? So the glue is still wet. Look for a glue that can hold it, any adhesive that can hold this together, and join it together. Okay, so to make this stay properly, like I said, you can use a needle and thread to hold it so that it doesn't eventually give way. This is how it's going to look. I'm going to do the same thing for this side. So by the time you've glued this, you're going to have something looking like this. This is the front and this is the back, you know, and by the time you insert it, this will be for the front and this will be for the back. You see, this will help to pad the butt and this will help to pad the hip. So that is how it's going to look when you're done. It's going to look something like this, okay, when you're done. So the next thing you're going to do right now is to go to your sewing machine and you know, put the dart for your skirt and, you know, just sew your skirt like you normally do, leaving only the zipper allowance open. And you do the same thing for the lining, because for this you cannot join the lining to the fabric. You have to do this for the lining separately and do it for the fabric separately. So I'll go ahead to insert my darts on the lining and then just join it, you know, making sure that my measurement is correct. And I'm going to do the same for the lining. Now when you've done that, I'm going to show you how to attach this to the lining. Okay, you're going to attach this to the lining. So I'll go to the sewing machine and do that, and then I'll come back. So I've gone ahead to join my lining, you know, and you can see the dart is already in place. And I've done the same for the fabric. I've gone ahead to join it, and I've also, you know, done the dart, so the dart is in place as well. Okay, so for the lining, we are going to attach the foam to the lining. So this is the wrong side and this is the right side, so we're attaching the foam to the wrong side. All you need to do is to come down by 1 inch. Don't forget that we came down by 1 inch when we're drafting the pattern for this particular foam. So you'll come down by 1 inch, and then you'd make sure to press open your seam. Make sure to press open your seam. Then we're going to attach this like so. Okay, so what you need to do at this point is to get a thread and needle. You can use a gum, but I prefer to use a thread and needle because this would, you know, keep it in place. I want to say that when you're attaching the foam to the lining, you should make sure that it's the right side of the foam that is facing you. That's the side that you trimmed the edges from, that is facing you, and the other side is facing the wrong side of the fabric of the lining. So it's wrong side facing each other when you're attaching the foam to the lining, so that the fabric can face the right side of the foam. Okay, so this would help the edges to be less visible, you know, when you finally turn your lining and your skirt, when you're done. In place. So what do you have to do next? Okay, tack it in place. Make sure that also this other end you tack it in place. So I'm going to cut this. This is to make sure that this does not, you know, shift or it doesn't move at any point. So make sure that is, you know, good. Then you tack it in place as well, using your needle and thread. So after doing that, the next thing you need to do is to put glue. So you get your fabric glue to glue it. Gluing it will also help, you know, to keep it in place. So you just pull your lining, turn it around, make sure that, you know, it is properly glued, and then you do for the other side. You just make sure you have enough glue and just, okay. So what you do next, you press it, turn it around, make sure everything is flat and nice at this side. Okay, so look at that. When you finish with this particular side, go ahead and do the same thing you've done here for the second side. You can also go ahead to use your thread and your needle to glue, to tack the 4 sides, just to make sure that they are completely in place after gluing. Okay, so when you've attached it, you have something looking like this. Okay, look at the way it's looking on the inside. So the next thing to do is to place the main fabric that we're using on the lining. Now you're going to do that right side facing each other. We're going to do that right side facing each other. We're going to go ahead to close it, that's the bottom part, and the sides, just leaving only the waistline open so that we can turn it in. Okay, so that's what we're going to go ahead to do. After doing that, then we're going to just go ahead to attach a zipper and attach a band. You do your skirt normally, in the normal way you do it. You can do it whatever way you normally do it, but this is how to properly attach the padding to it. So I'm going to go ahead to finish it up and show you guys what it looks like.